So we decided to bring some little humans into this world. We feed them, we entertain them, we wipe their asses and send them off into the big wide world hoping they will lead a happy and fulfilling life. The day a cheetah is born, its mother teaches it to hunt. It will often bring back prey still alive so its cubs can gain some valuable hunting experience. For the modern day hunter though it seems, our equivalent is the money game. Like it or not, money or the lack of it will affect how you choose to live your life. Like the cheetah, we need to teach our kids the game. And today, we start at the beginning. So money, what is the seemingly valuable commodity we endlessly chase? Some of us, literally for our entire lives. Now for starters, these money lessons for kids are designed to give you a topic and the info you need to teach your kids yourself. I unfortunately am not creating content for you to sit your kids in front of to learn the game. Your children have no interest in listening to some random YouTuber tell them about the almighty dollar. This should come from you. I'll arm you with some basic knowledge of some fundamental topics, then you can relay this in a way that only you know how to, and cut out anything that doesn't resonate with your values. You'll probably learn something as well, and your kids will think you are a genius. Damn, this guy really knows what he's talking about.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
By the end of this video, you'll have enough knowledge to help your kids understand the basic concept of money and why we use it. This will create an important foundation for us to build upon in future lessons. All we want to do is introduce the fundamentals of each of these topics to your kids in a way they might be able to wrap their heads around, and then move on to the next. So what is money? The best way I could put it is money is a means of exchange with another person that is agreed upon and trusted by both you and the other person. For instance, let's say I'm a hat maker. My son would like to buy one of my hats. See, he collects rocks, has so many pet rocks. These things in his eyes are the most valuable things in the world. Trust me, Dad, these rocks have value. He would like to pay me in rocks. Problem is, your rocks suck. What's the result? No hat for my son, and if you've seen his hair, you'd agree he could definitely use one. Why did this deal fall through? His form of payment, again rocks, are valuable only to him. No agreed value or trust. So what could my son use instead? Well, let's look at what's been used in the past. We humans have used clay tokens to trade in the past, also whale's teeth, precious metals, and seashells. Wait, really? Seashells? Don't tell my son this. Generally, to be considered acceptable as money, a currency must satisfy these conditions. It must serve as a store of value, meaning we can save it and store for purchases later on. Be a measure of value, that is, be a base, a reference to price things against. For instance, these shoes cost 5 seashells and the socks 2. It needs to be a medium of exchange, meaning something people can use to buy and sell from each other. It needs to be fungible, which refers to the currency's ability to be interchangeable. For instance, diamonds aren't perfectly fungible. They got different sizes, grades, colors, and cuts, whereas our dollar is perfectly fungible. $10 can be interchanged to 2 $5 notes and so on. It also needs to be durable, meaning repeated use without repair or maintenance. Should also be portable, meaning you should be able to carry small quantities as a consumer. Good luck trying to stuff 50 goats in your back pocket. It should also be recognizable and stable. So why do we even need money? Well, historians generally tend to agree that the system of bartering existed before the concept of money over 5,000 years ago. Although there is no real evidence of this. So there's a good chance these Muppets are just making this shit up. The bartering system, however, is a great way to demonstrate why we need money and how it is useful. Money or a currency is considered by many as one of the greatest technological advances of our time. And here's why. Let's say my daughter has many blocks of land, somewhat of a snooty medieval property mogul. And me, I have goats. Lots of goats. Could I have a block of your land, please, lady twat?
What do you have to offer, you pleb?
Goats. Lots of goats. You can make goat cheese, goat milk, goat bread, gluten-free of course. They also generally just do weird shit. It's quite amusing actually.
I have plenty of goats, you fool. Be gone.
What is it you need then, lady twat?
Sheep. Sheep is what I need. It's cold as shit down here in winter.
Okay, now my son who collects rocks is also a Kiwi. Turbo! Lots of sheep. I now have to go see him and hope he's running low on goats. Swap them for some sheep and hope one of those suckers don't die on the way back to see Lady Twat. After I've purchased my new land with my goats, my new community also have skills to barter with. My new neighbour is a rice farmer. There's also a fisherman, a builder, and a homeless toolmaker. The rice farmer wants fish, but the fisherman has all the rice he needs. He needs new tools. The rice farmer is now hoping the toolmaker wants rice so he could swap rice for tools to then give to the fisherman to get some fish. The builder has all the tools he needs, which means the toolmaker is likely sleeping under a tree tonight. You can start to see the holes in the bartering system and why it doesn't work. The bartering system is inefficient and relies on trust many times over. Now enter coinage. Somewhere around 650 BC, we finally found something we could agree had value. Gold and silver coins. Valuable seemingly because it takes work to pull this metal out of the ground and process it, melt it and turn it into some form of currency. And it's just shiny and pretty to look at. Nowadays, these metals have significant value and demand amongst industry, creating even more value. But let's stay on track and let's see if it fits the criteria. Gold and silver coinage can serve as a store of value, a medium of exchange, a measure of value. It's fungible for the most part. It's durable, portable, recognizable, and can be stable depending on who is ultimately in control of it. Now, there is a lot of information about money and currencies. I could babble on about this for 5 hours, but we're going to keep it simple so we can move on to the next topic. But not before what I think is the most important thing you can teach your kids on this topic if they can understand it. And that is the true value of these plastic notes you carry around in your wallet, or more likely the digits on your phone screen. See, in the late 1800s and into the 1900s, currencies were pegged to gold. And in 1934, you could trade an ounce of gold for 35 US dollars and redeem that gold whenever you like for that same $35, making these dollars, as they say, as good as gold. Those dollars had some real intrinsic value and trust. As World War II was winding up, the leading Western powers, the elite, met to develop what they called the Bretton Woods Agreement, meaning all national currencies around the world were valued against the US dollar, making it the accepted dominant global reserve currency it is today, effectively tying the world to the gold standard. Countries all over the world traded their gold reserves for US dollars to trade in the global reserve currency, knowing they could always redeem those dollars for gold. Every $1 printed was restrained by the amount of gold that was backing it. In the late 1960s and into the 70s, however, the US government went on a printing binge. And Economics 101 tells us that the more money chasing the same amount of goods decreases the purchasing power of that money. We're feeling it today with one trip to Woolies. It's called inflation. This triggered a big redemption by central banks all around the world of US dollars back to gold, as these countries felt the US were printing more money than they had gold backing it, depleting the US gold reserves dramatically. So what did they do? Stop printing? Hell no. This motherfucker just removed the ability for people to convert their dollars back to gold.
Secretary Connolly to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
President Nixon at the time effectively removing any remnants of the gold standard that was left, and they've been on a printing spree ever since. This ultimately means that the trust we had in the gold money was backed by has been replaced by a trust we now need to have in our government, as that is all it is backed by, trust in the government. Now, yes, I know this has and is working at the moment, but there are plenty of cases around the world where the system of trust in governments has fallen apart. In Venezuela, for instance, in 1980, a product that cost 100 bolivar, which is their dollar, cost over 100,000 trillion bolivar by the end of 2020. Holy goddamn! That's like when we were kids and we said, I'll sell it to you for 100 gazillion bazillion dollars. It got so bad that people had wheelbarrows full of money. But why am I telling you this? That's Venezuela and that's the US. We're here in Australia. The simple fact is when the US coughs, we fart, sneeze and end up with a bloody pneumonia. The US is the global reserve currency. This has meaning. What happens to them happens to the globe. The most recent example of this was the 2008 global financial crisis. Everyone felt it, and it was primarily America's problem. I believe we need to teach our kids to spread our wealth over different asset classes, not just the dollar. Real estate, precious metals, arguably Bitcoin and the stock market. You don't want all of your eggs in the one basket, especially that basket. Now, there is a fair amount of info in this video on this topic. It's up to you how much and what you would like to pass on to your kids, depending on their age. If your child is young, You may have to simplify some of this, which is fine. We're just trying to give them some basic info on the principles of money. The things in this video you want to get your head around and teach your children are, first of all, remember, what is money? It's a means of exchange that both seller and buyer trust have value. I use the example of my son and his rocks. You can use whatever example you like if you need to bring this point to life. Why do we need it? You can explain the bartering example of timestamped in the video and replace it with members of your family and any skill you like to make it more engaging. Give them some examples of what we used in the past as currency: clay tokens, whale's teeth, seashells, gold and silver. There are plenty of examples right up to what we use today: paper and plastic notes, or realistically, our cards and phones. Explain some of the characteristics that money needs to have. Again, it needs to be a store of value, meaning you can save it for later; a medium of exchange, meaning we all agree it has value; a measure of value, something we could price things against. It needs to be fungible, which means it's easily interchangeable, broken down into smaller pieces. Remember the example of $10 being turned into two $5 notes. It needs to be durable, meaning it won't break apart or fade away over time. It needs to be portable, meaning it's easily carried around. Remember, 50 goats will not fit into your back pocket. Be recognizable and also stable, meaning the value won't move violently up or down for no reason. And lastly, for yourself and the older kids out there, it would be a good thing to get them thinking about the true value we place in our dollar, spoken about in our last point. How our dollar used to be tied directly to gold. Remember, the gold standard was removed only 50 odd years ago. In the past, governments could only print or create as much money as they had gold reserves to back it. The fact that we are now just printing like psychopaths while we are showing up to work for $30, $50 or whatever an hour, these psychos are literally printing billions into the trillions of dollars out of thin air every year like freaking magicians. I'm not totally sure these are better than my son's rocks. Wow, really? Remember, subscribe so you don't miss the next lesson for kids. We were never taught about money, which is a big disadvantage. We can break the cycle. Remember, money is just a game. It's your turn. See you on the next one.